Today, my featured guest is Christian Santiago. He is Greenville's #1 high performance coach who founded his company, the Greatness Institute, where he serves as a coaching and culture specialist for Christian entrepreneurs, high end executives, high net worth investors, and 9-figure companies. Christian strongly believes in showing people what they're really capable of doing. Most of us don't believe what we're capable of doing. He's going to tell you, remind you, and actually get you to believe it so that you could go out and achieve it. He does this as no person or organization is ever stuck or powerless to change the situation they're in, right? So he's coming in, he's going to shift you, he's going to shift the organization. His passion is to see you become the best leader you can be. And listen, Startup Nation, you were made for greatness. God made us all for greatness. And we're not meant to play small. And you and I both know you're playing smaller than what you're capable of. True or true? Joseph, that stings. Great, you're welcome. Right? Let it sting you into action. Let it sting you forward. You need people like Christian and myself to speak into your life, to speak life into your life, because the world is speaking death into you. You're speaking death into yourself. So Christian's here to not just motivate you, but he's going to give you his top 3 tips and strategies in business that have worked for him. He's a high ticket coach. He looks pretty young to me. We'll find out what his age is. I don't know. I'm guessing 20s, 30s, 40s. I don't even know. But Christian Santiago, welcome to your first 100K, top 100 podcast in entrepreneurship. Go ahead and fill in some of the gaps in that intro, would you?
Yes. Well, first off, I just want to thank you for the opportunity. I know I don't take it lightly that you're trusting me with your audience. And so thank you for that trust, first off.
You're welcome. Now don't screw it up. Let's go.
Absolutely. And so a little bit of the gaps is my heart is my wife and my son. And so my wife, Chantel, we've been married for close to 6 years. She's from Australia. We met in the Dominican Republic, actually on a mission trip. And we went from hello to I do in 9 months.
Wow.
And so,
wait, was there a baby involved? Come on, those numbers.
No, there wasn't a baby.
Okay, you said 9 months, so.
And then our son Zion, Leo, a month from now, at the time of this recording, he'll be 1. And so
that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, my son is 11 months old right now, so I get it.
Oh, congrats. So same timeline.
Go.
And so those are my heart. But I will say I was also in full-time ministry for 6 years. I was a pastor, ranging from being small groups pastors to also, even being a young adults pastor overseeing 3 campuses. And so then made the shift into high performance coaching about a year and 2 months ago, and seeing God massively change that I was able to then make my first 6 figures in 6 months, which was such a blessing. And so, but I know we'll get into that, but I just wanted to fill in the gaps. Like, I'm just really honored to be here. And yeah, my wife and my son are my favorite thing. So
it's beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Startup Nation. He just touched your heart. Okay. And you're like, he's a sweet guy. I like him. Give me the money, Christian. How do I make the money? All right, Christian, take a minute, share something personal about you that very few people in your business life actually know.
Yeah, so that's actually a great question. Something about me that very few people know is, it's got me making me think about it.
Startup Nation, he's stalling.
Yes, he got me.
Should we give him a break? Should we give him a break or make him sweat? I see some beads of sweat forming here.
Yes. Wow.
It could be embarrassing. It could be humiliating.
This is great.
Go ahead.
I actually get anxious before every coaching session.
Really?
It doesn't matter how high I've worked with. Before this, I was actually on a call with a surgeon. So I get anxious before everything, no matter how prepared I am, even if I got 3 pages of notes, so that's actually something that's normal for me, I guess. But now I've relabeled it as I'm ready. I know it's going to be a good job. Before I labeled it as man, I'm gonna bomb this. And now I've relabeled it as, hey, this feeling of like anxiousness means like this is important for me. It means that, hey, it could be something great. It means that it could actually give something that's gonna help them. And so like that's actually something that I actually never shared. So
No, that's cool. That's cool. All right. So, like, you reframe your experience, right? That
Mhm.
anxiousness, that aliveness you're feeling, you're like, you give it a positive spin so that you can have
Mhm.
positive results come from it. Where many of us, we put a negative spin around it. And then
Mhm.
guess what happens? Negative things come up as a result. And then we're like, see, I was right. Nothing ever works out for me. Well, no kidding, buddy. You keep just wanting to be right. Of course you're going to be
Mhm.
right. All right,
Mhm.
Christian, let's get into it, buddy. All right. Listen, like, how old are you?
28.
28 years old, okay? And you got the baby face, man. Thank you, God. You got the baby face, right? So,
I
like,
feel like I'll still have it when I'm 50.
yeah, yeah, which is actually a beautiful thing, right? So, let me ask you this. Has that held you back um, psychologically in your own belief
Mhm.
systems, right? With working with clients, many probably that are older than you, achieved more maybe because they've just had more life experience, and they get on a call with you and they're like, okay, what is this young guy going to teach me
Mhm.
about anything? And I'm only
Mhm.
saying that because I went through that firsthand. Okay. I was always the youngest in my industry in almost every business I started.
Mhm.
So I've dealt with that. And it's a mental game, man. So what have you done with that?
Mhm.
Have you experienced it and how have you gotten through that?
Absolutely. And it began when I was in full time ministry because I was 21 years old, leading people who are 40, 50 years old while I was a pastor
Mm-hmm.
and being the one that they reported to, being the
Mm-hmm.
one that kind of had to give the strategy or had to give vision in that area. And so that was something that was a normal thing. And I always felt like I was fighting against the grain in a way. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
man, like it's like, okay, if you want to look at my age, I want you to know wisdom has no age because I know a lot of 45-year-olds who have not grown up.
Wait, we
Well,
have the same friends?
and so uh and so there's that, like my mom used to always tell me like, Christian, you're 21 going on 60. It's like that's what my mom used to tell me a lot
Yeah.
just because I was an old soul. But I went up against it a lot, even in the church world. But when I made the shift into the industry, of coaching, I needed to get out of my own way because I was hesitant and I was very, you can say, gun shy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I knew sometimes it would manifest itself as I didn't know the next question to ask, or
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how I could lead someone, even though I knew exactly. Once we ended the call, I'm like, oh, I could have done this with
Mm-hmm.
them. It wasn't that I was nervous, is that I was believing that my age was actually a factor on how well I can serve people.
Okay, so Startup Nation, I want you to take what Christian just shared and apply that to your life. Maybe it's not age that is your handicap. Maybe it's something else. What is it? Is it your gender? Well,
Mm-hmm.
don't worry. You can change your gender nowadays. Haha. Anyway, sorry, that was a cheap shot for all those leftists out there. All right. But listen, like, what is that thing, that rock in your head, the head trash that's holding you back from the greatness God has for you? What
Mm-hmm.
is it? What is that thing that you're giving a negative meaning to? You're putting an excuse around it, and
Mm-hmm.
you're keeping yourself imprisoned and playing small. Like for Christian, he just shared it was his age, man. People would look at him a certain way, judge him a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
You judge a book by its cover. Well, this cover was young. It was a brand new book. They're like, what's a brand new book going to teach me about wisdom? And like he said, wisdom doesn't have an age. I agree with that. So, Christian, you and I are very alike in that. And by the way, it doesn't change even when I'm in my 40s now, bro. And my buddies that are in their 40s, I'm fit and stuff. So now, oh, the fit guy's going to teach me something now.
Yeah.
It's just like it's people will always find something.
Yeah.
So it's critical that we get
Mm-hmm.
past our own head trash, get out of our own way, because the world will always push up
Mm-hmm.
against those excuses we have for ourselves. Don't you agree?
I agree. And can I share with you two things that helped me kind of go into that? Like,
Yes.
so the first thing was this. I had to raise my standard on people who actually needed help.
Tell us more about that.
People who really need help are more looking for the answers rather than, oh, are you young or not? I realized, like, for example, the person I like, a lot of my clients that I work with, like 80% of my clients are like over 45, like 80% of them. And they came to me because they saw, okay, I just need to get rid of this thing. They were in massive pain.
Yeah.
To a point that it allowed them to just be like, okay, I'm willing to take to the side the age part. Because if you have the solution to my pain, I'm in such pain. So I raised my standard to not work with people who weren't really in pain, who didn't need to change now.
Yeah.
Because if they didn't need to change now, they would create any reason and they would throw in age as a reason as to why they didn't move forward.
Yeah. I really get that. So what you're talking about is when someone's in pain and they have a migraine headache and it's stabbing them in the temple, right? They don't sit there and look at the labels of the packaging. They just rip that thing open and grab the aspirin, right?
They
So
pay
they
for it
want
first.
this. Yeah, hopefully, right?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Hey, once or twice, I
Yeah,
took it in the
yeah.
aisle and then paid for it. Okay,
Yeah.
but listen, it's like people don't care about the packaging when they're in pain and they just need the solution. So Startup Nation, apply that to yourself right now.
Yeah.
What's that a negative meaning you've been giving to yourself as a way out, as an excuse? Oh, people just think this about me or whatever. No, that means your people, you may be searching for the right people, but maybe they're not at the stage you need them to be in to be your ideal client, your avatar. So because sometimes we're like, oh, my ideal avatar is this person. She's this, and she's a soccer mom, and she's this, and blah, 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 blah. But we don't ever address or identify, well, what level of pain is she in this area? What degree of pain is she in? Is she an 8 or a 9 or a 10? Or is she a 6, a 5, or a 4? Because in my coaching, I only work with men that are 8 to 10s. As far as level of pain. If they check the box and they say, well, I'm a 7 or whatever, right there on the call, we're addressing that. And I am disqualifying them right out the gate. And I'm saying, here's my concern about working with you. I don't think you're a fit because you answered a 7. And then they have to persuade me that they are a fit, that their pain is that advanced, and they were actually just trying to look good when they filled out the form. All right, Christian, thank you for bringing up that point. That's powerful. That's a powerful
And then
point.
that increases the results that they have, because if they're in pain, they're more likely going to apply what you tell them to. And that way it even looks better on you. And
There
then
you go.
you'll get
So-
more referrals out of that too.
That's right. Right. So that's brilliant, right? So you keep your success record really high by limiting the types of people you work with and the level of pain that they're in. And the more the pain, the higher the price. The higher the price. So talk about raising your ticket prices, okay? Because you did something that's different than most coaches. Most coaches, they start low ticket because they have low confidence. And as their confidence raises, their prices raise, okay? And then some of them get paralyzed somewhere in the middle and they're like, oh, I could never charge someone that much because I don't believe I'm worth that much or I can add that much value, right? And they hit a ceiling. Right. But anyway, that's the traditional track that they take or model. You did something completely different. Tell us how you priced your coaching.
All right. So I started off pricing $5,000 over 3 months. So it was like a 3-month, but it was a 5K price point. And I started off high ticket. Like when I remember my second month into it, I was talking with someone who had 15 clients and each of them were paying, I think like, $200 a month or something. And I said, wow, I don't want that. And the reason why I chose that though, going back to pain, we were in a lot of pain. So a year and 2 months ago, I wasn't fully into coaching and my wife and I were struggling to pay rent for about 6 months straight. We were on food stamps, EBT. And I remember I was in so much pain that I said, you know what, God, like I need to make a shift. I can't do this anymore because my son is about to be born soon. And I'm not bringing my son into this kind of world.
Into poverty.
Yes. And I said, I knew I needed clarity on what I was supposed to do and where I was supposed to go. And I literally took 2 days. I said, babe, I've been working 12 hours And this was like after I left my full-time ministry position and tried to start something on my own, and it wasn't working. I was working 12 hours, $0. And I said, I need to get clarity. And after those 2 days, I got clarity, just asking myself 5 questions. And that's when I was like, okay, one of the questions that I was like, okay, what do I want to price what I'm going to give at? What do we need right now? And so I said, okay, if I do 5K and I get 3 clients, okay, and it's 5K over 3 months, we are set. I just need 3. I don't care if I have to talk to 50 to get to 3 by the end of the month. Like that's all I need, conversion. I was just doing numbers, not realizing I might have chosen the harder path in the front end, but I realized that what's hard in the beginning will be easier at the end. And what's easier on the front end will usually be harder at the end.
All right, say that again for everyone that wasn't taking notes, Startup Nation. Get your pen out. What are you doing? Say that again.
What's harder on the front end would be easier on the back end. And what's easier on the front end will be harder on the back end. And so the people that I met that was like $200 a month, that's easier to convert them on the front end. But on the back end, they're probably lower quality clients. They probably have more of their time given up. They're probably not getting as much good results.
They're complainers.
Complainers, negative. It's like, oh, that's not what I want. Okay.
They're sucking your life.
Literally. Literally. And so I said, you know what? It might be hard to do this 5K, but if I figure it out, guess what? It's a skill that's literally I could keep forever. So then I started off, and within 2 months, I had 8 clients.
How'd you get them? Don't skip that. What are you
kidding
me? Are you joking? Okay. People are going to punch you in the Zoom camera here.
Yeah, they will. So when I went when I went to the 2 days of getting clarity, I asked myself, God really put on my heart to ask myself 5 questions. Because the reason why I wasn't moving forward was because I didn't know what I wanted. And so I asked myself the 5 questions. And then what I ended up doing was...
I'll break down the 5 questions. What are you doing? This ain't marketing 101. Give us the questions. Let's go.
I will give the questions, but let me tell you what I did on the 2 months to get those 8. And then
I will give you the questions, Startup Nation, after this commercial break. Go ahead, Christian.
So after, like, when I made the decision, I just gave people clarity sessions with those 5 questions. And some of them lasted, I was willing to give 2 hours for free. And as long as I pitched, the coaching at the end. And so within 2 months, I was able to do 70 clarity sessions. 70.
That's a lot.
Yes, a lot. But I loved it because people were getting breakthrough. So I was just like, hey, if people get breakthrough and they walk away and they don't say yes, awesome, but I'm still going to get a referral. I always ask for a referral after, and they usually referred me to 2 or 3 people. And that's how I kept on getting more. And
now, what did the referral look like? How'd you ask for that specifically? Was it, hey, can you call up and make an introduction for me? Or was it, hey, do you have a name and phone number I could cold call?
No, it was actually, who are 2 to 3 people that that needs the same type of breakthrough and clarity that you had just experienced just now.
Nice. And then how'd they make the introduction?
And then after they said, oh, yes, I have 2 people. I said, hey, well, can you connect with them and give them my email? And can you talk with them, tell them how your experience is, and ask them if they want a free clarity session?
That's a lot of work to put on them. But
they did it, though.
They did it because they were appreciative of the breakthrough.
Yes, because some of them were 2 hours, some of them were 45 minutes. But the 5 questions. First question. See, I got to it. I got back to it. First question. Who are you really? Who are you really? This was huge.
What might be an example? What was your example?
So my example, who are you really, was, so in full-time ministry, once I stepped out of it, I said, okay, what kind of business do I want to start? What kind of business do I want to do? And I said, who am I really? I am someone who works and that affects and works best with high-level people, high-level leaders. Like, who am I really? I talk the language. I'm someone who loves talking the language of people at the top who feel lonely. Who am I really? I am a communicator. I am a coach, but I am not a therapist. I'm not against therapists. I think they're needed. They are absolutely needed. But if I were to try to put myself in that category, I'm not seeking to take longer periods of time to deal with one thing, I'm like, hey, let's do one session. Let's do it. And if we can't get a breakthrough on 1 to 2 sessions, I'm not the person for you. Let me refer you to some people who can give it to you longer. So one of the things I just accepted was, who am I really? And so that was some of the stuff that I included in there. Who am I really? Also, too, this part's freed me of who am I really. I actually was like, okay, like I'm someone who's a jokester, but also the next second could be serious. Like I didn't accept that about myself because when I was in pastoral ministry, I had to always be serious all the time, always be, and I couldn't even say a joke. It was like, because it was the expectations.
You
But
had
this
to be
allowed
professional.
professional, a
Professional.
professional spiritual leader,
I
Um,
realized that I am an unprofessional professional, and I like it. I'm the same
yes.
way, dude. Like, I put on the New York accent just to make people feel all tingly inside. I don't do it for me, but I do have fun with it. And then we get serious, and I kick you in the
Yes.
face and punch you in the throat, and you
And you
have the
ask a great
breakthrough.
question that I wasn't prepared for.
Yes,
Absolutely.
and I like to see you sweat a little. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, exactly. Another one, who am I really, was I love to see people get breakthrough through crying. Like that was just for me. Like, who am I really? That was fulfillment. So I
That's
have a one
sadistic,
success
bro.
question. I have a one success question for every coaching session is, did they cry? I know if they cried, they got breakthrough in some way, because I realized that beliefs are not changed until emotions are activated.
Say that again.
Beliefs are not changed until emotions are activated.
Is that a Christian Santiago quote, or have I heard that somewhere before?
Um, I have not heard it anywhere, but I just, I don't know. If someone else has heard it, amazing, give them credit. It's like, you know,
Go
I've
ahead.
not heard it anywhere, but it just came out at a coaching session with somebody. But so who are you really? The second question was, what do you really want to be known for in the next 5 years? What do you really want to be known for in the next 5 years? You decide what you really want to be known for, not what anybody sees you as. What do you want to be known for? And I was able to define that for myself, which means it first included me cutting off what old ideas I had that was based off other people or what they thought I should do. I didn't care. I said, I'm going to be a high performance coach, and I really want to be known for someone who literally comes in at a high level and shifts cultures or shifts people in dramatic ways. That's what I want to be known for. Like, that's me, Christian Santiago. The third question was, what do you really want at this stage of your life? Not ultimately, at this stage. I didn't want to focus on the ultimate because I realized like what did I want at this stage of my life? At that time I was going to turn 28 in a few months. My son was going to be born. My wife was pregnant. We needed shifts to change, like things to get shifted. What do I really want at this stage of my life? And I was like, well, in ministry, I wasn't making that much money. And I wanted to make some money at this stage of my life. I wanted to make some actual money that like could change our lives.
Give me the Benjamins. Let's go.
Yes. While also impacting high level people. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
The question number 4 was then, what are the 3 skills I need to master to get there? Because I realized that the gap there wasn't just belief for me, but it was also skill. Proverbs 22:29 says, do you see a man skilled in his work? He shall stand before kings, not unknown men. And so I realized if I was going to stand before kings and high level people, I needed to be really good at what I did. And so what are the top 3 skills I need to master? And then question number 5 was, what are the next 5 moves I need to make right now to get real progress? What are the next 5 moves? So it allowed me to not focus on what are the 100 different strategies I can implement. It's like, no, what are my next 5 moves that I want to get real progress? And so out of that, I came out and I knew exactly how I was going to present myself. I knew exactly what I really wanted. And what price point I was going to do it at, and the skills I needed to master to get there, and then the moves, and then I just executed it.
All right, let's backtrack for a second. Number 4, what are the 3 skills I need to master to get there? What was your example in your
So
life?
my 3 skills, number 1 was influence and persuasion. It's like if I can master that skill of influence in general, it's going to go a long way. Doesn't matter. Like if I got 10 minutes to connect with somebody, if I understand the triggers of influence, I can make those 10 minutes count. And so I really started to focus on that. The second one was negotiation. This actually helped me with the company I started working with. my first like big company I started working with, I went through like 4 different sessions of negotiation. So I'm glad I worked on that. And so it's like, okay, so I needed that. And then the third one was high performance coaching. It was like, okay, that's going to be my bread and butter. Like the first 2 get people in the door, but my last one is going to cause them to stay longer term, but also get them results.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are 3 skills I just focused on mastering. And the beauty about that is I didn't have to read everything. I didn't have to learn everything. It literally provided a focus tunnel on what I needed to focus on, because I realized that the high performers are really intentional about their growth. And so it allowed me to distill it into 3 things. And if it's not in those 3 things, I can put it off for later. I don't need to learn it now.
Yeah, that's
And
valuable.
so those are those 3.
All right. And then what are the next 5 moves I need to make right now to get real progress? What was your example?
Yeah. So my big goal was like, okay, I want to at least convert 5 in the next 3 months. You know, I did 3 in the first 2 months. I mean, not 3, 8. But my first move was get my branding down. What would I be about? What would be like what would be about like my coaching as well? Like get my branding and my course down. I mean, my coaching program down, curriculum. What kind of breakthroughs? Boom. I put that together. Second thing is then what would be the offer and the terms and my market? Because I need to focus on market and offer. Once I got that down, it would be terms, prices, guarantees, you know, scarcity, urgency, all those extra things. I was like, okay, what do I need for that? Third, what's my irresistible offer? Free irresistible offer that's going to get people in the door.
Was that your clarity call?
Yeah, that was my clarity session.
Let's go. I'm going to give you 2 hours of my life. Let's go. You're welcome.
And people were like surprised because usually it's just a 20-minute or 15-minute discovery call in the industry. The people weren't usually giving an hour and a half away. Mm-hmm. Number 4 was then who are the first 10 people? I put down 10 names that have experienced me in ministry that if I get them a breakthrough, they're promoters. These are people who are loud.
That's good.
So I'm like, okay, so if I tell them, if I ask for 2, they'll probably give me 5. So I put their names down. And then the 5th step was go and contact them. It was just go into action. But I had it all in line. So that way, when I was able to contact them, I had everything created. I had everything created. I had my proposal done. I had all of it. And then I just went into action. So then I didn't have to focus on everything else.
Now, out of those 10 that you reached out to, your early promoters, how many of them accepted your offer for a free clarity call? They jumped on for an hour, 2 hours with you, and then had a breakthrough. 2 separate questions in that.
So 8.
8 out of 10 said yes to the call.
Yeah, to the free call.
All right. They jumped on. How many had a breakthrough out of the 8?
Oh, all of them had a breakthrough. I will tell you.
So you made all 8 cry.
Everyone cried. Literally.
Everyone cried.
Like it's crazy because I didn't realize this one success question was what the British rowing team used for them to get gold. I think it was like I think in the early 2000s, they asked themselves this question because they were dead last a lot of years. Mm-hmm. They said, will this make the boat go faster? That was their one success question. So it's like, oh, they're like, people are like, hey, you want to go party at night? Their question was, will this make the boat go faster? Nope, we don't want to go party.
This will go make it go slower. We'll probably sink.
Exactly. And so within a year, they were able to get gold because they had one question that they filtered everything through.
And what was your question?
Did they cry?
Did they cry?
Did they cry?
Okay. So
that was my one question. And even like one of the people that I ended up getting connected through later on, it was in the second month. He was a real estate agent, top 1% in his current brokerage that he was at. And he cried in the middle of it. He said, Christian, I haven't cried like that in 3 years.
Yeah.
And so
immediately you stand out. Now they're either going to love you for it and want to work with you, or they're going to run away from you because they didn't like that feeling because it was so uncomfortable, especially as men. Have you run into that?
I would say personally, I haven't, because I build rapport in the beginning. That's my focus. Before I help them get breakthrough, I really want to build rapport in the beginning for them to feel like, okay, unified, I'm there for them. I even for all the sessions, I let them know there's a confidentiality like agreement on that. So none of this would ever get out. So they do feel connected and safe. So that way, when they do cry, they don't hate me for it. And so it's like, yeah, so that's where we did that from the beginning.
That's awesome. I've had guests cry on my podcast, right? On this show and my
Mm.
other show, Broken Catholic. They cried and stuff. And then they were like, oh my gosh, I just cried in front of the world. Because they got caught up like just in the 101. Oh, it's just Joseph and I. And they forgot like the
Mhm.
whole world was like peeping Toms listening. It was great. I
So you're
like
saying
it.
I should go grab my tissues?
You should, but that's not my one success
Yeah,
question here,
yeah.
okay? My one success question is, did God transform one
Mm,
person's life through this
mm,
episode? Will I
yes.
ever get the answer to that? Well, that's between God and I.
Hmm.
It's not a tangible reality. But if I
Hmm.
show up and serve and I prep my guest with that intention, and then my guest goes, oh, I'm not here to serve myself. I'm here to serve one human being on the other side of this microphone, and I get them aligned in that intention, bro, I
Mm.
know it's happening. I know it's
Yes.
happening.
Yes. I
Yeah.
love that.
All
Mm.
right, brother. Listen, Startup Nation, like, all right, first off, like if you were looking at Christian right now, you're like, this guy is what, 28 now, right? He's 28. He looks like he's 22. God bless him, right?
18. I've
He's
been
got the
told some of
18
this.
gene, the 18 gene. And, but then he started talking and he gave you his 5 questions. He spoke about how he had his early success. He made 6 figures in 6 months. And like, you're like dumbfounded. You're like trying to keep up, taking notes. And you're like, how does this guy have so much knowledge at such a young age? He's making me feel worse about myself, but better at the same time, right? But listen, I really get how people could come on and judge you,
Mhm.
judge the package,
Mhm.
and not look at the actual product. But then when you start speaking, building rapport, they really see who Christian is. They see your heart, and then they see, wow, you're a solution for their pain. And if they just stay on that call, I can really see them opening up, and then boom, their face starts leaking all over the place, and you're like in the background going, yes, got
On the
him.
inside, on the inside,
On the inside high five. Yes, on
Mhm.
the inside. All right, Christian. We're speaking with Christian Santiago. You can find him at christianpsantiago.com. And he just gave us, Startup Nation, 5 breakthrough questions to transform your life and also to transform the life of your clients, right? Because you can use these questions. Christian, do we have
Mhm.
your permission to use these questions?
Absolutely.
What a guy.
And
What a guy.
and just like you said, it's not quantifiable. When I stand before God, I will see the impact.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
special. So
It's special,
use it.
man. We did something special here today. The rest of our day is gravy. All right, brother. Welcome to my favorite part of the show. But before
Mhm.
we go there, what do you do personally to strengthen and deepen your faith?
Yes. Every morning, I never fails. I at least take 30 minutes uninterrupted time of prayer, and then another 30 minutes of reading the Bible. Even growing your business, it's like, okay, Lord, like, how do I find some keys or some things you want to teach me that could help? But it's really helpful to do that on every single day. One of the things that I do that I don't know if other people like do it or not. I don't know. But I stay quiet for most of it. I actually don't even talk out loud. I like close my eyes and I'm like envisioning as if I'm there with God. God, like, I feel like he speaks to me or leads me on some things. And so I don't say much. Like a lot of people give requests, and I love that. I don't do that. I'm just like, God, if you just shift me, my life will be better anyway, because the 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 common denominator for everything I touch is me. The common denominator for everything I touch is me. My marriage is me, my relationship with my son is me, my business is me. And so I do that. But I will say what helps me just on a practical basis is exercising before I pray and read the Bible, because I like to wake up early. I'm usually dead asleep, dead tired. And so if I don't exercise, I'm not awake. So therefore my time of prayer or reading is most likely going to be useless. And so, but that really allows me to get there to strengthen my faith. I don't miss a day. But then another thing that I do is, and I don't do this like legalistically, but I actually take like a Sabbath where it's my one day out of the week where I literally do not discuss business. I like my clients know not to text me at that time. I'm not available. If you have an emergency, just imagine that on the next day, next morning, you'll get a text from me or we'll connect. But I literally take that day, and my first half of the day, I'm not rushing to get somewhere. I don't have a to-do list. It's the one day I don't set an alarm. I sleep in, and I actually just spend time with God in prayer or reading. I take care of my son in the mornings because my wife wakes up in the middle of the night. I don't do that. I slip through. um, but I take a whole day not in a rush with God. And even if that means, because my son usually wakes up at 6:30 in the morning, my sleeping in at 6:30 now. Um, if you're a parent, you kind of resonate with that. But at 6:30, I'm just not in a rush. So even if I'm spending time with God at like till like 10 a.m., I'm not in a rush on that day because I don't have to-dos. I literally give it to God. God, you build my business. You're the one who's like, I believe your hand's on me and your grace is on my life. And so I'm not going to rush with you. And so my Sabbath is my Saturday in general, just because it's my easiest day to do it. You know, I could choose Friday or Saturday, but most likely it's Saturday, and I don't rush. I really don't. Like if people like sometimes I'm praying for like 2 hours, I'm like, just leave when I feel great to leave. And so I don't do it as a checkbox on, especially on those Sabbath days. So,
All right, Startup Nation. Come on, get some of that wisdom going. Do you take a Sabbath? God told you to. Actually, he commands you to. Commands you to, right? So many people in the Christian space have taken liberty to make that commandment optional. God understands my situation, Joseph. He understands. Really?
and that's why
It's not how
burnout
commands.
happens.
Yeah, that's not how commands work. Right? It's commands for like if my little daughter or my son, they on one or two or three matters outrightly just disobeyed mommy and daddy because daddy understands my situation. I want my cookies now. I'm going to go help myself, for example, right? Yeah, that's not going to work in our house. It's just
Nope.
not going to work, right? So, all right, Christian, welcome to my favorite part of the show. Welcome to the hustle round. I'm going to ask you 10 quick fire questions. You'll have about 3 seconds to answer each. Don't overthink it. It's just for fun. It's like a game show. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Speaking like an oxen. Here we go.
I did it in one breath. Let's go. What's your favorite thing about owning your own business?
Freedom and impact.
What's your least favorite thing?
Lead generation. Even though it works. Just
I believe we're all struggling with something at any given moment of our life. It's just part of the human condition. What are you currently challenged with or struggling with right now, either professionally or personally?
so consistently living in my vision without comparing myself to it and feeling like I'm in the gap.
Yeah, so true. What are you most afraid of?
Not providing for my family.
Big time. What did you spend way too much time doing your first year in this business?
I spent way too much time being anxious instead of being in action.
Yeah. Anxious versus action, people. Let's go. What secret fear do you have about people?
That if they are given any choice, that they will do in their best interest and without any thought for you.
Yeah, that's why you became a good negotiator. So that can't happen. What do you wish you had learned sooner in business?
This sounds crazy. I started a high ticket to go for a higher ticket. Higher.
What's
faster.
the goal? What's the higher ticket? What's that number? What are you going for?
So my goal is to be $10,000 a month. Currently I'm at $5,000 a month. Yep. Like as far as like to work with me, $10,000 a month in general. So
how long is the commitment with that client? Your ideal?
Oh, I would say 6 months minimum.
Okay.
Beautiful would be a year because where we'd go in a year and who we'd become in a year.
Let's go, man. Let's go. Very cool. All right. What is a new habit you're going to create this year?
So a new habit I'm going to create this year is asking myself 3 legacy questions every night before I go to sleep. So when I say legacy, I have three words that I define myself at the end of my life. I'd like to be known as. I'd love to be known as giving, inspiring, and leading. So asking myself three questions at night that connect with that. Did I give today without thinking about it? Did I inspire others for more today? And did I lead people to a better place today?
Here's one thing I'm learning about you. You're good at questions. You're good at questions that open up what's true, the greatness within you
Mm,
and the greatness within others that get to work with you. That's your secret superpower that I
thank
see.
you.
I could
Thank
be
you.
wrong, but so far
Thank
so
you.
good. Unless you're like copying it out of a book. I don't know. I don't know. But some of these questions are pretty original. What's a bad habit you're going to break?
Oh, snoozing.
Snoozing.
I snooze at least three times and it's not, helpful.
Startup Nation, are you snoozing every day? Stop it. Stop.
Even the high performance coach has to deal with snoozing. So,
Pick three words to describe who you are now.
who I am now, I gave three words about who I'm going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Stepping into that, I would say who I am now is intentional, hungry, and explosive.
Explosive. Let's go. My coaching business called Blow Up Rocks. I'm all about explosive. We blow up the rocks in your head, holding
Come
you back
on.
in your life.
Come
Come
on.
on, people. Pick
That's why
three
I love
words.
high energy people. Let's go.
Yeah, pick three words to describe who you were your first year in this business.
Um, I would still say hungry.
Mm-hmm.
My second one would say scientist. This is what I mean. I was experimenting a lot, so see which one worked. And then the third one was overconfident.
Overconfident. I like it. Sometimes, though, that overconfident naivety about like not knowing what you can't do leads to you doing things that other people think are impossible. Like you
Can I?
don't see the
Yeah.
barriers that other people put in front of themselves. So you just go further. I used to do that in my 20s. Then my 30s, I slowed down. Then my 40s, I became one of them. What is going on? I must stop. Go ahead.
I
You were
was
going
gonna
to
say,
share.
can I share? Can I share one funny quote that I stumbled upon that I was like, oh, I haven't lived by that.
No, let's make
It's
Startup Nation wait.
okay. Okay.
Go ahead. I'm kidding.
So the funny quote was, delusional confidence has gotten me more in life than reality ever could. I
That's,
saw some
I get that.
I saw someone put that on Twitter and I was like, it was like my first month. I was like, okay, let's do it.
It's true. It's true. Like Startup Nation, if you believe you can do something that is so ridiculous, so out there, so impossible, and you just go for it, you're going to end up further than everyone else. You just are. Whether or not you hit that impossible whatever intention, we don't know. But you'll end up further than if you just put the limits on yourself. Last question. Christian, if you could come back to life after you died, look your family and friends in the eye, your wife, your baby boy, this is a legacy question, and give them only one piece of advice about true success in life, what would you say to them?
um, I would envision, first off, going to my son,
Okay. What would you say to your
um,
boy? What's his name?
Zion Leo.
Zion Leo. I love it. He's a lion,
Yeah,
man.
he
City
is.
of God. Let's go.
So I would look at him and say, son, give everything you have to change people's lives and love God along the way. Give everything you have to change people's lives and love God along the way.
Got it. This is the opportunity in this show for you to give my audience, Startup Nation, a homework assignment. What is one
Mm-hmm.
thing, one action they must take? We're in action. We're in action here. What's one action they must take to get that shift in their business and in their life that they've been waiting for?
Give yourself permission. Here's what I mean. Um, a lot of people that 90% of people that I know, I call it the 95-5 principle. 95% of people do not feel the sufficient emotional permission in order to succeed at the next level. Everyone has the spiritual, physical, and mental capabilities. What they're lacking is the emotional permission to do so. And oftentimes we're looking for something external to give us that emotional permission to get there. There have been people who have been successful who are not skilled or not as good, or their personality is not as great, but they gave themselves permission. And they said, I'm going to do it and figure it out. And so they gave themselves permission, and permission was actually the one thing that skyrocketed myself with one of the clients that I had. She was a real estate investor, and she asked me a question that triggered that I realized I needed permission. I didn't even know until that moment. She asked me at the end of one of our sessions, she was like our second session. She's like, wow, it's powerful. And I didn't know how high net worth she was. And she asked me a question. She said, Christian, can I ask you a question? I said, yeah. She's at first powerful session, but let me ask you, why don't you have $50,000 to $100,000 packages? And this was my second month. And I was like, that's a great question. And I said, I just started. And she said, well, how long were you going to give yourself? And I was like, I was going to give myself 2 years. And she said, but with all the work you've done behind the scenes and all the experience, you're good enough now. You're good enough now. And it was in that moment I realized that the reason I didn't have everything God said I can have was a story I told myself as to why I couldn't have it. And so I went home and I knew that I needed to write myself a permission letter. I literally remember driving home and calling my wife, babe, we lost $50,000. And she said, what does our bank account look like? I said, no, not literally. Okay.
Opportunity call.
And I told her the situation. She said, I agree. I said, of course you agree.
You're my wife. You're supposed to agree.
And so I went home and I wrote myself a permission letter. I said, dear Christian, and I started to give myself permission of everything that I was looking for other people to give me. I said, dear Christian, I give you permission to be the 6-figure coach that you know that's inside of you. I give you permission to, and I started to list out so many things that I need to give myself permission on. And then at the end, I said, sign your greatest supporter, Christian Santiago. And then I signed it. And from there, I felt like the emotional, psychological lid was taken off, that then I was able to, boom, go there. And then 2 months later, after that encounter was when I met with my first 9-figure company, was able to work through the 4 layers of negotiation with them and was able to work through that. And so, but give yourself permission. Give yourself permission. And I think that emotional lift would then help unlock all the strategies that probably are in you, or all the things you really wanted to do. And now you have the emotional permission to then go after it, that you don't feel like you're going 4 steps forward and 5 steps back, or going 3 steps this way and 4 steps this way, and you're not moving forward. You can now get everything aligned in one direction.
All right, Startup Nation. Listen, every week you show up here and you listen to this show and to the amazing guests I bring on, and I'm so grateful for your support. And you write 5-star reviews, and it's fantastic to read these. But how many of you show up every week looking for the next strategy that's going to set you free or triple your income? And Christian is challenging you and all of us to say, hey, the reason why you're not where you want to be is because you haven't given yourself the emotional permission to do so. You already have thousands of strategies within you. Pick one that will work. That's all you need. Just pick one that will work. You already have all the strategies you'll ever need. What you're missing is the emotional permission to use them effectively. Is that right, Christian?
100%.
Did we just knock that right through the sky, man?
We knocked it out the park. Grand slam.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. All right, Startup Nation, if you enjoy the show, you enjoy guests like Christian Santiago, go to iTunes or Stitcher Radio or first100k.com and write a 5-star review. If I like what you write, I'm going to give you a shout out, possibly on this show, like I'm about to do right now for handle The Dreaming 1979. The Dreaming 1979, who wrote 5-star review, engaging and inspiring podcast. So many entrepreneur focused podcasts concentrate solely on the guest achievements rather than the value that the guest has to offer the audience. Your first 100K podcast is different. A ton of actionable insights that you can apply to your own business right now, and inspiring stories from other folks who've gone down the entrepreneur road and racked up a huge amount of success on the way. All right, The Dreaming 1979, thank you for your 5-star review. That was awesome. And you're right, Christian's a great example of that, the guests we bring on the show. Right? He just inspired, he moved, he led us. Now it's up to us to actually take action or sit there and complain. Your choice. Your choice. All right, Christian, where does Startup Nation go to get in touch with you? Maybe they're like, hey, Christian, I want a $50,000 package. I want the 100K special and supersize it, buddy. Right? Where do they go? What do you got?
Yeah, so they can go to christianpsantiago.com. You can do that if you want to connect with me personally. We can get on a call. But also, too, if you just want a weekly Sunday newsletter, I send out Kingdom High Performance lessons that I've learned, where they are kingdom principles from the scriptures, but I actually apply it with my own life and other clients. You can go to christianpsantiago.com/Sunday lessons. And I just send it every Sunday, just everything I'm learning. I'm just like, hey, I learned this. And so that's just where I'm at. I don't do it like that. Lesson is not as a expert. It's like, oh, this is my wife and I actually had this conversation that we need to change our blueprint for our marriage if we want to be happy. It's like, so it's just lessons I've learned along the way. So.
All right, Christian Santiago, thank you for being on your first 100K. I wish you God's love, peace, and joy in your life, sir.